cash call, everybody. Brian Curtis, Dale Archdekin, back again on Wednesday for a cash call because we couldn't stay away from all of you, and we love you so much. And speaking of our faithful fans, the ones who show up every week, Brian, I feel like we should create some kind of badges or some swag, right? We should have some kind of cash call swag. What would cash call, like
Great.
face tattoos or something? What do you think?
Well, I was going with a hat, but okay.
Samantha Graff wants a face tattoo. Thank you, Samantha. We'll do temporaries just to start as we're working out the design, right?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I have no tattoos and one going on my face. There's somewhere between little and no chance of that.
All right, maybe
Not,
we'll
I'm
get
not
some.
anti-tattoo if you like that. No judgment from me, but I'm not putting one on my face.
All right, that sounds good. Maybe we'll get like branded headsets or shirts or something. I don't know. So Brian, today I have a couple calls that I wanted to listen to. They're actually failed attempts at setting listing appointments. And so the reason that I'm playing this is because I want us to help these people in hearing where things went wrong, right? You can listen to it, and we just want to talk about the positioning of this stuff because I don't know about you, but right now we're doing a lot of listing training material within my company, and one of the most difficult things there is obviously it's easy to set a listing appointment with somebody who's hot and ready and wants to list their house, right? It's kind of a
Yeah, I
no-brainer.
can do that.
I can do that too. It's kind of hard to screw that one up. The harder ones to set are the ones who aren't quite ready yet, who are still getting the house ready, or aren't going to be selling for a while, or are just even haven't even decided that they're going to sell, right? Those are the hardest ones to have a conversation or to get face to face with. And so I want to play these two where they're not hot and ready, potential sellers, and it failed as an attempt to set that appointment.
Awesome. I love it.
So let me
Bring them on.
share my screen, share my sound, and figure out why my call's not here. Hold on. We find technical difficulties. Brian, sing a little show tune while I find this.
Well, we have some pretty good fans, and I really don't want to scare them away. So I'm gonna opt out of singing, as they probably don't want to hear that. But we will have this up and running in a second, and there we go. I can see that you're
There we
already
go.
95% of the way there.
There we go. Okay. So this first one is an ISA attempting to set a listing appointment. This is a woman who is looking at homes on their website. She inquired about one in particular. She's looking for 55 plus communities. And what she's said so far is that she's hasn't found anything yet, but she's actively looking online at 55 plus communities and wants to downsize. And
Perfect.
so now we're going to hear what the ISA does in an attempt to try and set the appointment with her. Give me a thumbs up when you can hear it.
I understand that you're in the beginning stages, so of course there's no rush at all. With you having a home that you said that you need to sell, would you be interested in maybe having someone come out to give you a free market analysis so you can see what it would list for?
We kind of got an idea of what it would list for. So we've already kind of had that. We kind of worked what our idea would be. So I would say our house should be around 350.
Okay. So you weren't interested in setting up an appointment with an expert to just confirm that?
No, we're not. We're still
Yeah, so basically the answer is
not like I can have my kids in school.
right. The answer is no to that one, and she does not get the listing appointment. So obviously, I see the smile on your face, Brian. It's a couple of issues there. Why don't you go ahead and give your feedback first, and then I'll give mine.
Well, obviously there was about 3 minutes before this we didn't hear, so I'm assuming there was some setup, some warm up, some rapport building. I'm
There
just going to
was.
go with that assumption.
Yes, there was.
So if I'm in rapport with somebody, I don't like to ask yes no questions because there's no reason to ask a yes no question. Would you like me to come over to your house? No. Where the hell do I go from there? So, hey, really for us, the next step is often to have one of our expert agents come over and take a look at your house. We have appointments available on Tuesday or Wednesday. Which of those days would work better for you? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying the person can't come back and say, listen, I'm good, I don't need that, but no is a shutdown question. And by the way, and those of you who are listening to this, whether you know it or not, you will probably have a negative physiological reaction when you get that no, and it causes you to have to reset. It's a pattern interrupt, not in a good way. Set yourself up to at least have conversations because, and it's interesting. I don't know if you've read Jeb Jeb Blunt's book on objections, but it's pretty good actually. And a lot of people have read his other book, which is Fanatical Prospecting. But in objections, he talks a lot about that. He's like, look, we've got all these auto responses. So, for example, I go into a clothing store with one purpose, to buy a pair of pants. I'm going to buy a pair of pants. I know I'm there to buy a pair of pants. I'm not leaving until I do. The salesman comes up to me and says, hey, Brian, can I help you? What do I say?
No, I'm just looking. Thank you.
Right. And you know why? Dal and I didn't set that up, by the way. But that's the answer. It's an automatic response. So don't set yourself up for automatic responses. Then also, I've kind of felt like her response was, hey, the idiot who gave you the price on that house, you need someone who doesn't suck. And that's what I heard, by the way. Some
Yeah.
moron came over and told you the price. You need an expert. And again, we want to say that we're experts and we want to say it's a good idea potentially. I completely understand you've already got an opinion on that. One of the things we would love to do, though, is give you a second opinion, just a little bit more information to give that, somewhere along those lines. And we've got to work on building relationships with these people, not just smacking them around. So anyway,
Yeah.
those are my thoughts. A lot of them, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all of that stuff. And one of the points that I made to that ISA is let's listen to how she did this. So the woman told her that she was looking 55 plus, was thinking about moving in the future. She would need to sell her house, right? That's basically what had gone on prior to this, Brian. So here's my point to that ISA. Let's listen to this real quick.
I understand that you're in the beginning stages, so of course there's no rush at all. With you having a home that you said that you need to sell, would you be interested in maybe having someone come out to give you a free market analysis so you can see what it?
All right, now, so this ISA knew she was going to ask for the appointment, right? Brian, you and I know, and now this ISA knows that there are many ways that somebody could say no to you. One of those being, I already know what my house is worth. I've already met with an agent. I've already had all my questions answered. Yada, yada, yada. I've already talked with a stager or a consultant about how to prepare my home for sale. Those are all the ways that somebody could say no to you. So my point to the ISA is, before you're going to ask for that appointment, figure out if there's a no in there first, okay? And so rather than saying, hey, Brian, since you have a home you're going to need to sell, would you like me to come and tell you how much it's worth? Knowing that you could already think you know what it's worth, which is what happened to her. So do it a little bit smarter. Hey, Brian, since you have a home that you'd need to sell before you actually purchase, have you spoken to anybody about what it might be worth?
Have.
Oh, you have? Okay, great. Now I just got the fact that there's an objection in there. If I try to ask Brian, would you like me to come to your house and tell you what it's worth? Right? So now
I already have.
Yeah, you already had somebody. I'm not going to close for that, right? I'm going to back off of it. And I'm going to find another opportunity to close around so that I don't run into an automatic objection anyway. Right? So that's what we tell the ISA. Listen, if you have a premeditated close you're going to do, and it's not the obvious solution to your conversation, then just pre-test to make sure that there's no objection in there when you know that there could be. So if I want to ask you to meet with me, an agent, I'm going to find out if you've met with an agent yet. If I want to give you a price for your house, I want to find out if you've come up with a price for your house yet, right? If I'm going to suggest that you let me come and give you suggestions on how to best prepare your home for sale, I'm going to find out if you've already talked to anybody or done thought about preparing your home for sale, right? It's just like a pre-question to test for objections.
Yeah, and I agree. Just like you agreed with me, I'm going to agree with you. But we're just agreeing with each other, one on top of each other today. But one of the things I think that I'm hearing you say indirectly, and I hear this, maybe this is just in my brain, we need to do better discovery. It is
Definitely.
in essence, and you're breaking that down to very specifics, and I appreciate that. But the overall, what I'm hearing there is we need to do better discovery so we
Definitely.
can ask better questions. And here's one of the things I think agents make mistake on phone calls. Like they ask a question and they don't take a note so that they can go and come back to it. Because here's the thing. When I'm having a conversation with somebody, I do a little bit of discovery. I find something that, ooh, this is something I can move forward on. I don't have to move forward on it in that moment. As a matter of fact, here's some stuff that I'm studying right now, which is fun. High S personalities actually like it better. 70% of the people in this country are as personalities, by the way. Like it when you come back later. Why? Because it shows that you were listening and you let them finish. And they want that stability that, okay, I got out what I'm done. And hey, by the way, Dale, you mentioned earlier that you had somebody come give you a price for your house. One of the things that we often do is just give people a second opinion because, I'm sure the person who did it was good and they knew what they were doing. But oftentimes it's nice to get a second opinion just so you have more information to make a better educated thing. So I've got time on Tuesday or Wednesday. Do either of those days work well for you? And again, I came back to it 2 or 3 minutes later. It has a different effect, and I think it's significantly more effective.
Yeah, that is a really good technique. Let's hear what happened into the face of that objection, because I think this is another thing, right? So she asked, would you like to have us come take a look and give you a price for it?
It would list for?
We kind of got an idea what it would list for. So we've already kind of had that. We kind of worked what our idea would be. So I would say our house should be around 350.
All right, now, this ISA was caught off guard at that no, which is what you said earlier, right? She was caught off guard, and then she did this really bad, like just simply repeating the no back to the person, right? That wasn't productive, and we'll hear it.
Okay. So you weren't interested in setting up an appointment with an expert to just confirm that?
That's the point where you said she was like assuming that it wasn't an expert. Now so it was kind of unclear. This is what the ISA should have done, I think. So the woman said, "Oh yeah, we've kind of already gotten an idea of what it would sell for. We think it will sell for 350,000." The ISA, if they were prepared and well trained, might ask, "Oh, got it. How did you come up with that number?" Or, "Did you meet with someone to get that number, or did you put that together on your own?" Right? So either one of those
Here's
questions.
another question. Here's another question out of curiosity. How long ago was that? Because
Yeah, great
if it was
question.
6 months ago, that's was it a year ago? Was it a week ago? Was it yesterday? That's
Right.
very, very relevant in this market as we're
Right.
shifting. And so if somebody said, well, we had an agent come out in January. Well, that's awesome. And I appreciate that you're doing some preparation with that. With that in mind, we're seeing that the market change significantly. I'm going to suggest that you contact that agent again and maybe get a little bit more information. Or an alternative, if you'd like to just have, so instead of saying, why saying maybe you want to contact that agent again, what you're saying is, oh, it's okay. Your agent's a good person, or whoever gave you this is a good person. No, I really don't want them to contact that person again. What I want them to do is take option B, which is, or, by the way, a lot of times people want to get a second opinion. I can come out on Tuesday or Wednesday if either of those days will work for you. So, and here's the thing, salespeople are often scared to say something that's going to send them down a road that they don't want, oh my God, someone else is in. Here's the thing. They already talked to somebody else. It's not like we're convincing them to work with somebody else. They've already done that. So acknowledge that. Know that that's okay. Here's another thing. And would you consider what this person did an objection? I would, but would you?
What the seller said to her, what the potential
Yeah.
seller said to her? Yes. Well, I mean, it was an objection to the ask that the ISA made.
Right. It's an objection it clearly was a roadblock for this person. So a couple of things. One of my rules for objections is never re-cement the objection. And that's exactly what she did. So we want to repeat and affirm objections. In other words, oh, absolutely. I'm glad that you had somebody come out there. A lot of people do that. That's a great opportunity to do that. Now I can go into an objection handler. But when I immediately come back to and say, oh, so you don't want to have an expert come out and take a look at it? So what I hear is you're a moron.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure that's not what this ISA was trying to.
No, not at all.
Hey.
She was caught off guard and didn't know what to do. She was like,
Right.
"Oh shit, I don't know what to say here. I'm just going to repeat what you said because I need to keep the conversation going."
But when you repeat it, don't repeat it with a question. And that's what she
Right.
did, which re-cemented the objection. Oh, so you don't want to have an expert come out? No, you blah 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 is what I'm thinking if I'm on the other end of the line. So be careful not to re-cement objections and ask them like, and she asked that question like, literally, are you an idiot? You don't want to have an expert come out. That's literally what she said, whether she knows it or not. And I'm sure it wasn't her intent.
No, not at all. I mean, I know this ISA. She's in training with our company, and she's relatively newer, and I just know her, and I know she was caught off guard and was scrambling and didn't know what the hell to do.
And by the way, I'm I'm pounding on her pretty hard, but overall, she's doing pretty well.
Yeah, she's a really good ISA. All right, let's listen to another one. This is actually an agent. Oh, go ahead.
Before you do that, we have a question. So before you do that, let's answer that question. I'll read it and then I'll let you answer it. Okay. Is saying no pressure a passive aggressive way to apply pressure? I use the term. I've been wondering if it just needs to be dropped from a conversation.
I don't want to pressure you. Actually, I don't think that it's I don't think that it's passive aggressively applying pressure. I think that it's an absolutely great thing to use if you are sensing that the person feels pressured. A lot of
Agree.
times when you can name the emotion that you are picking up from the person you're talking to, especially if it's a negative emotion. Hey Brian, I'm feeling like you're upset with me. Brian, I'm feeling like you're feeling pressured here, right? I don't intend to do that, right? So that is a really great way to use it. If you just use it completely out of context, and you're not reading that from someone, then that could introduce the idea or reinforce the idea of a salesperson pressures you, right? It's sort of like, hey Brian, no offense, but your face is kind of ugly. Usually when people start with no offense, they're about to offend you, right? Brian, no pressure here, buddy, but how can I put you in this car today?
Right. So I call those eraser lines, and basically whatever I say, I'm not trying to be offensive, and then I can go say something offensive.
Right?
That doesn't mean that the thing I said wasn't offensive just because I said no offense.
Don't take
So
this the wrong way, but don't take this the wrong way, but you suck.
yeah,
Okay,
you're fat and ugly. Oh, great, thanks, appreciate that.
I'm
Um,
gonna I'm gonna look for the silver lining in what you just said, sir.
so I will tell you this: I use this eraser line quite a bit when I'm doing lead generation. Hey, Dale, it's been great talking with you. I'm not trying to do an interrogation here, but I just need to ask you a couple of quick questions so I can make sure that I'm serving you, or just so I can make sure that I've got to know what your needs are. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a couple of quick questions. I'll use a line like that sometimes because sometimes, honestly, we have to be careful because we do feel like we're interrogating people. Tell me your social security number and your firstborn and how much you make, and all of a sudden it's like, dude, we met 7 minutes ago and you're asking me questions I won't tell my significant other. So I'm exaggerating, but it really we
Here's what I
do.
heard, Brian.
And
Here's what I heard, Brian. You're hiding the offshore accounts. That's all I heard from that. So you might be want to be
I
more
tell you,
careful.
I tell you what, I wish I had some to hide. So
That's great. All right, so I have another
interrogation.
one. This is actually an agent who is attempting to set a listing appointment, and it's one of those not selling now, potentially selling in the future. He's trying to get face to face with her, which is great. The lead source is an online eval tool, right? An online home evaluation tool. So the woman filled it out. He calls her up, has a little bit of rapport, and what we don't hear, and this was some of the feedback that we gave, is that there really wasn't enough rapport built before he went to ask that question. So I'm going to give you that before we even play this. Let's see. Let me go over here, share my screen. Brian, do you want to answer that question that Charlene just posted?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Charlene, that's similar to what I'm saying. I would be careful of just be careful how you ask it. So here's what I mean. What Charlene said is on a call, I asked permission to ask additional questions. And I actually do like that. Hey, I might look something like this. Hey, Charlene, I've got just a couple more questions I need to ask you, but now I want a because. And by the way, there's a really cool study that they did on because. So they literally had people stand who were standing in a line and had a person come up and interrupt that person and say, "Hey, would you mind if I cut in line?" 3% of the people said yes to that. Now they turned around and added the because. Hey, because I'm late and I got to go pick up my kid. That 3% turned into 70% of the people who let it walk in. So the same thing here. Hey, I just want to, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions if that's okay, so that I can, or because I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to get you all the information and meet your needs, or
Yeah, that's fine.
because, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome, Brian. You know what? Since you said that, I think you said that in the last one.
I
I've
think I
actually
did
been
too.
using, or it was 2 times ago. I've actually been using it, like reminding myself to use that when I either have to ask an employee something or to do something or a client, or if I have to tell a client no, I just make sure that I put in the because in there, right? Just to, because it reminded me that unless somebody has a reason for something, unless they can make a justification for it in their mind, they're probably going to be upset about it or whatever about it, right? Or say no to
Yeah.
it, or whatever it may be. But if you give them the
Because it's
justification,
very powerful.
yeah.
Very, very powerful word.
All right, so this one, I gave you a bit of a context for this. Now we're going to listen to it. It's a little bit annoying at first, but I want to get to the ask. So I'm going to put it at 1.25. You'll see what I mean by annoying.
Okay. Are you thinking about selling your home someday? Are you refinancing? What made you curious?
I might be selling someday, but not right now. Just,
Okay.
yeah, maybe like next year. I don't know.
Okay, next year.
She said maybe next year. I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense. So you're really just kind of gathering some information right now, seeing what might be out there.
Now he put the words into her mouth. So you're really just gathering some information, might see what's out there. Not a good strategy to do. You need to tell her what's important about it. Or even the feedback that we gave him is on the home evaluation, find out what she thought about the number. He never even talked about that, right? What number did it give you? Because in this system, they don't know. This particular one, they don't know what value was given. But he never asked that, and he didn't talk about it. So we'll keep going on.
Oh gosh, this girl, move away from this. Yeah, that's all I was doing. No, don't. That will hurt you. Just be a good girl, okay? Okay. Hello.
Yeah, so we have the website there to just get you better access to homes or information about what houses are selling for, the valuation. Like that's why we have it there. If you are thinking about selling your home at some point, whether that's this year or next year or 5 years down the road.
Now you hear him trying to soften the ask, right? If you are thinking about your home this year or next year down the road, that's a softener, and then he's going to make an ask.
Eventually, the best option is going to be having a local real estate expert just come and look at it, tell you what it would be worth in person. And obviously, this is not a commitment to anything. This is just having somebody put eyes on it, be able to give you, hey, here's what it would probably be worth in today's market. What's the market going to be able to demand for it? Does that sound like that would be helpful for you?
Now, I think that he did a really good job of attempting to soften, explain, and then offer, and then even ask if it would be valuable to her. And so,
Love the valuable question.
Yeah, and so I think that I wanted to show the audience, the listeners, this nice little pitch that he made. Right, it was pretty solid. It was good. It sounded really well. My issue, I think the issue, she's going to shoot him down. Spoiler alert, right? She's going to say no, and we'll hear why. But the feedback that we gave him, which we didn't hear, is that he didn't build enough rapport. He didn't actually talk about the value. He didn't even get into really what she wanted to gain or know about it. And then it just went into the pitch. And I think that that's why it kind of fell flat. And she said no. And so I'll play with the objection. Unless, do you have any comments about that before I play the objection?
I do like that I like the way he handled it overall. I mean, he probably if I'm going to nitpick it, I like the initial softener, and then he got really, really, really soft. So I might not have gone down that road, but that's just personal choice. So I think it was a good call, or a good little section.
So let's hear the objection, and then we'll talk about what he did in the face of that objection.
Yeah, but when I'm ready, I'm not ready right at this minute.
Yeah, and that would be something I think you would want to do before you're ready. Like I think that's not a step towards, okay, I'm ready to sell my home. That's something before you're ready for planning purposes. Just so
it's actually have somebody come and look at the house.
All right, so he tries to control the objection and change the objection, right, rather than inquiring into the objection. So what we heard him do, and he's a good salesperson, right? He's like, oh yeah. You're not ready. This is what we would be doing this before, we're not doing this to make you ready, right? It's whatever he said, but he sounds really good. My issue, and what I think that he could have improved on, is just asking into it. Right? So if I say, Brian, if you sell now or someday in the future, the best thing to do would be to talk to a real estate agent, have them take a look at your home and just give you a really, more confident idea of what it would actually sell for in the market. Is that something that you think might be helpful for you?
No, it's not.
Say what she said. Say what she said.
I don't remember exactly what she said. I'm sorry.
She said, yeah, when I'm ready. I'm not ready now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sometime next year when I'm ready, I think that's a good idea.
Oh, got it. When you say you're not ready, what aren't you ready for? Having me give you information about your home, or looking at marketing it for sale?
Yeah, I definitely am not interested in selling it till at least next year. And I mean, it's not, I guess I don't feel like I need the information right now because I'm not going to sell it until at least next year.
Got it. Okay. So in this, everybody, Brian's just told me he doesn't value that information that I would be giving him, which is probably the way that this person was looking at it, right? Because it's
Sure.
out in the future. So what if this agent had inquired into that? What is it that you're not ready for, Brian? And then even giving him some options, you're going to find out what the real story is. Hey, I just don't value that whatever the information that I think you're going to give me now, I don't value that right now. Okay, hey, no problem. I can look for another opening. I can look for another offer of something that you might be interested in. Just change tack.
I
Go ahead.
would also maybe do a slightly deeper discovery. Oh, Maria, Bob, Sue, whatever this person's name was. Out of curiosity, is there some significant event that's happening next year that you're considering selling your home?
Yes.
Because here's the thing. You can hear the person has kids. Maybe they've
Right.
got someone graduating from high school. Maybe, who knows what that reason is. And you got to remember there's conditions and objections. So for me, for example, I moved to Colorado in August of 2019. I ended up not selling my house, but let's pretend I was. I wasn't going to sell my house if somebody called me in 2018. I was moving in 2019. Why would I sell my house in 2018? Wouldn't make any sense. That's a condition. And so sometimes we have to figure that out. And then I can build rapport with that person based on, hey, I understand that next year your kid graduates from high school and you want to downsize. Or, who knows what, we don't know what their condition was if they had one. There was a reason that she said next year. And it might just because if I say next year, maybe he'll leave me alone. That might have been the reason that she said that. But we have no idea the significance of next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the critical things. That is again one of the issues that he didn't get before he went to pitch on the close, right? And then so then he's in this downward spiral of he didn't do the discovery you're talking about. He didn't set up his close in the way that we suggest. His close was really good, but then he's in a death spiral where he makes his first. And listen, I tell everybody, you need to hold back your first close because your first close is critical. You know what I mean? If you fail on your first close, it is harder to close again and get a yes if you get a no.
Right, and that's because here's a great rule on the same lines, and Dale's it's just different way of saying the same thing is the only way you can close a second time is either you provide more information or change the deal.
Yeah.
So you set yourself up now. You can't close again without being high. You can close again, but you're going to come across as really high pressure. So I have to have some kind of different part of the transaction, or I have to provide a brand new piece of information that makes the person go, "Oh, that makes sense for me." I don't think there's an opportunity here. So I want to cover something real quick because it made me laugh, and I wasn't laughing at Dale, but I was laughing as this. We had a couple of comments, and first of all, for both Brad and Maria, I thought it was really great that you were paying attention to pace because I'm a big fan of that. But the reason this guy was talking so fast was because Dale had the pace set on 1.25 or 1.5. He had him talking faster so we could listen to the call faster. That's not how the guy doesn't talk like this. So, but great job paying attention to that. I love
Yep.
that people are out there paying attention to pace
Yep.
because it's an important thing. If the person is talking like this and the agent's talking like this, that's bad. You're out of rapport and that's
Yep.
going to create tension. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're listening, but that's why that was.
Yep. You know what? I want to answer this chat here. Melissa chatted in. I thought you had to get 5 no's before a yes. So how can you close on the first time? Melissa, I think you're crossing a couple of wires here. I think that either when somebody says you have to get 5 no's before you get a yes, that's either in reference to you're gonna when you're lead generating, you're gonna get no's from people when you make your ask. Like we heard these were 2 leads where they were asked for an appointment and they got a no. And so it's either in reference to the fact that they're saying, hey, you've got to get some no's before you can get a yes. That's really what they're telling you from a coaching perspective. Now, if it's either that or it's in reference to like keep going. So like when we role play frequently, we will make agents and ISAs get at least 3 no's before they give up. I'm not saying that you give up after your first ask. What I'm saying is, what Brian and I are saying is, is that your first pitch for a close, for an ask, for an appointment or a meet or a contract or a signature is the most valuable one, because getting one, if you get a no to that and you don't structure it properly, getting it to turn into a yes afterwards becomes even more difficult as you close subsequently after that. So that's what
Yeah.
we're saying, Melissa.
And I'm going to add to that too. So that 5 no's, I may have brought that up on a recent call because I think it is an important concept. But more what I was saying when I was bringing it up, and if that's your reference, Melissa, maybe you have it for somebody else, is the first time I talk to somebody, I want to go set an appointment. Hey, I'm way out. That's a no. So I'll give you an example. I called a guy, non exaggeration, 12 weeks in a row on Monday at 3 o'clock. And I got no, 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 no. And finally, it took 12 no's with this guy. And finally, he said, hey, I'll come on over to my house and, and we'll take a look. We're ready. So sometimes it's not no in that, no, I never want to work with you. No, not right now, which means, okay, now I got to follow up with this person and I got to call them next Monday or maybe next month or depending on what their time frame was. So I think that's a lot where we're going. And to Dale's point, the reason that people are telling you that is this is what agents get. Would you like me to come over and, take a look at your house and give you an idea of what it's worth? No. Okay, well, I'll never call you again. That's the kind of no's that we're talking about. You're going to have to get 5 of those before you get a yes. It's not necessarily inside of one conversation that you're going to have 5 no's. So I hope that makes sense.
Yep, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for Cash Call this week. Am I supposed to remind them of something? I don't know. We don't have any guests coming up, but Brian and I will be back next week to blow your minds and expand your businesses. Right, Brian?
I'll do my best. No pressure. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate everybody, and see you next week.